All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Going to be touching on the top plays here for this Thanksgiving slate. It's going to be a 3-game slate. Let's go ahead and get into it. And so the nice thing about it being a 3-game slate is I can kind of go through the whole pecking order. So we're going to go position by position. And to me, it's kind of clear where we should be going. There's 3 quarterbacks in play in my eyes, and really just 2, depending on where you want to go. So we have a clear-cut payout play in Dak Prescott in a smash spot going against Washington. Washington defense has been pretty bad. You had Dak Prescott have a pretty good game against Carolina. The Cowboys, given their play calling, it was just weird. They were like trying to keep the Panthers in the game, I swear. And then they score a late touchdown, get a pick 6, and then the game's not close. But they were just doing a lot of stuff they really didn't need to be doing. They just probably should have really tried to jam the football down the Panthers' throats. I mean, Dak ended up throwing the ball 38 times. That's kind of strange. But now in this game against Washington, you kind of expect him to have to throw the football a little bit more. And Washington is easily the best matchup on the season thus far. I mean, heck, they made Tommy DeVito look pretty good. I mean, Tommy DeVito actually didn't look too bad, but all in all, I think he could contribute a lot of that to Washington. Now, they were able to get home a decent amount. They were able to get some pressure, but I think Dak will be able to do a little bit better in those situations. And then from there, if you're not paying up for Dak, you're just playing Jordan Love. A lot of people, I don't know, there's just a weird bias around Jordan Love. If you guys have been watching this channel, I've been properly hyping him throughout the whole season. You know, at the start of the season, I was really banging that drum. He kept coming in low price and under own. I'm like, yes, let's go crazy with that. This is a good play. He was in my cash build for like 4 straight weeks. And then last week, I got jumped back on him as a very good play, especially going against that Chargers defense. No shock that he, had a good game. I was pretty shocked at his ownership, though, again. It was strange. Like, there was 4 easy plays at quarterback last week, I thought. Not 3 easy plays. Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, and then I like Tommy DeVito as a GPP play. The thing that, I don't know, I think there's a bias around Jordan Love. It seems like the media wants him to be bad. I don't really know why. I don't know what he ever did to them. But also, I think a lot of the bad takes on Jordan Love are rooted in really the team being terrible against the Las Vegas Raiders in that primetime game. So a lot of people, that's their only impression of Jordan Love as a starter. When if they watch really any of the other games, they would say, clearly not the problem. And I don't think they would have said that in that game anyways. But the issues that the offense have been having for the Packers is just making stupid mental mistakes, high school mistakes really, like turning a 1st and 10 into a 1st and 15. And it's weird, like last week, we still saw that. There was a few clutch throws by Jordan Love. And I'm actually curious, like if there's a stat about like 3rd and long, 4th and long stats, if that's like a clutch rating or anything like that, I bet he'd be one of the players that are kind of high up there because it seems like he's always having to convert 3rd and longs, 4th and long. And that did continue last week, but they definitely had less mental mistakes, less stupid penalties, less drive killing mistakes. Now they are going to be without Aaron Jones again. And we saw that was definitely something that hindered their production for the team. Definitely something with caution, but we just saw Detroit make Justin Fields look really good. And I think that was Justin Fields' best game of his career, honestly. But this is a seemingly good matchup as well. Like earlier on the season, we did see him put up 19 fantasy points in a half of football. That being said, it is a short week. They play Detroit on a short week on Thursday. My worry coming into that game was that Matt LaFleur wouldn't be ready. Like his game planning on a short week wouldn't be there. I don't know if I'm as worried about it on this week, but yeah, he's kind of the clear-cut value play. Like you're going with Dak or you're going with Jordan Love. Now, sure, some people might be trying to play Geno Smith. We got to make sure he's active. Drew Lock came in and looked terrible. Brock Purdy, I'm fine with as well. Like he is at kind of a cheap price tag as well. I probably would try to get to Purdy slightly over Jordan Love. I don't know if the point difference is going to be that great. This game does have a chance to be a little bit higher scoring, but if Geno Smith is out, we might just see the Niners rush the football a little bit more. And then Sam Howell. Sam Howell had himself a terrible game last week, but still threw for a lot of yards. Like he probably should have had another INT there. His rushing touchdown was kind of a dumb play as well, where most quarterbacks would have slid there and they should have slid there. All in all, though, he's putting up points. It's kind of a good Blake Bortles right now, where if you have him in fantasy, you're enjoying it. If you're watching it in real life, you're probably like, all right, we need to clean some things up, but I like the production that we're getting out of you. You're a young quarterback. We can look past that. All in all, though, he does feel a little bit too high priced. And it's like, why would you take the risk of Sam Howell when you can get Brock Purdy at cheaper or Jordan Love at vastly cheaper? Jared Goff, I don't mind, but I mean, he definitely had his worst game of the year last year. I mean, he should have thrown a pick 6. There was a play on the goal line where the Bears defender just flat out drops it. It's an easy pick 6 if he catches it. Now, Jared Goff did have himself a fine game against the Packers. The issue is that they kind of blew out the Packers, so he didn't need to do much. And I think we're going to see that we're probably going to want to be on the running backs for Detroit, so just kind of an easy pass. So for now, I'm going to put Dak in there. We might go with Jordan Love instead, though, because I do think we want to prioritize getting up to probably CMC. CMC is going to be a smash spot against Seattle, and he's been highly consistent, right? Like, it's just kind of a no-brainer. And the nice thing about it being a 3-game slate is that we're getting him cheaper than we really should be. So he's kind of the easy click. And then from there, it is difficult to know what to do and all. The Bears somewhat had some success with Foreman, and maybe AJ Dillon is someone we're looking at as like a value. Again, I think we would rather go with the passing game here, but Aaron Jones most likely out. They just recently signed Patrick Taylor, who could get some work, and that's because Emmanuel Wilson got injured. Patrick Taylor was a guy that they kept calling up from the practice squad. Well, now he's signed to the active roster for the rest of the season. So I don't think we're going to see like AJ Dillon get like 80 or 90% of the work, but he is definitely going to be the running back that gets a lot of work. I wish he was a little bit cheaper. He has been productive in the passing game, which, guys, as a Packers fan, super annoying. I saw Michael Carter available. He would have been a good third down back for them. They don't really have that quick twitch third down back, that pass catching back. Like, you're using AJ Dillon for that role. That's ugly. But then from there, like Jahmyr Gibbs, he did get more snaps than David Montgomery again. It's tough to say if that was because they're playing from behind and not playing with the lead, because I do think if they are playing from the lead, we're going to see David Montgomery a little bit more. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs looked like a stud. I think he's going to continue to get at least 50% of the work. And going against the Packers, he should be able to feast. Austin Eckler had a play in which any years past Austin Eckler scores on, he was extremely slow and just got caught from behind. It was kind of an eye-popping play. It's like, oh boy, Jahmyr Gibbs would score on that play. And if you look at it, like, Eckler probably should have had a rushing touchdown. So I don't think we're too worried about the fact that the Packers stopped Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler mostly just stopped himself. So Jahmyr Gibbs should be able to have a good game. It does feel like we're probably selecting one or the other, though. And David Montgomery is probably someone that I see getting more carries in this game. And it's a game that they're going to be ahead in. And obviously, he had his breakout game against the Packers. And so the Packers have been a little bit better against the run, except for that Steelers game. We'll see what happens in this game. Again, it's a short week. I don't love that for the Packers. Looking at Tony Pollard, he had himself a better game, but at the same time, I kind of mentioned the Dallas Cowboys were doing a lot of stupid things. They did like an end around with Dak, where I don't know if Tony Pollard was supposed to pitch it to him because he got bumped right at the like kind of mesh point, if you will, and he just kept it. But that's a sign of them just doing stupid things. Now, he looked good. He looked like a normal self. He scored a touchdown in that game. All in all, it does feel a little bit touchdown dependent, but this should be a fun game. This should be a higher scoring game. I think we could look elsewhere, but again, he's certainly in play in GPPs. If Antonio Gibson is out, we might be looking at Brian Robinson. Now, I will say people that ended up on Brian Robinson probably got a little bit lucky last week in the sense that Chris Rodriguez was playing a decent amount of snaps, and then he had a fumble and then only played like one snap after that. That being said, if we do get Antonio Gibson out, I think it's pretty clear that we're going to see a heavy dosage of Brian Robinson. The issue that I have is this is going to be a much more difficult matchup than it was last week against the Giants, but the workload should be there. He should be a safe play. And then Zach Sharm, a lot of people are trying to get to him this week, I would say. Now, it's early. I'm recording this on Monday, but he does feel like a play. You just kind of plug and play. If they're playing from behind, I don't know how much work he's going to get. We could see DJ Dallas getting a little bit more work as a third down back, assuming that Kenneth Walker is out. But we didn't see DJ Dallas too much. DJ Dallas only played 13% of the snaps once Kenneth Walker was out of the game. So that's 87% of the snaps went to Zach Sharm. So we're probably looking at him. He's probably a safe play. For now, I'm going to put him in. I don't love the matchup against the Niners, obviously, but he is too cheap to me. And then from there, like Gibbs, GPP play, Tony Pollard, GPP play. Like, what's crazy is that we're probably getting some of the best backs on the week on this Thursday slate. Then we get into the receivers, guys. The receivers are pretty loaded. Obviously, if you're playing Dak Prescott, you want to be playing CeeDee Lamb. He even had a good game against Carolina, able to score a touchdown in that game. 9 targets still. Like, in this matchup against Washington, you've certainly expect him to feast, and I expect him to feast. Dak has looked better recently, so he's kind of an easy click for me. From there, I don't know if I exactly want to play ASB. He has been getting a massive target share. Both him and Sam LaPorta have been getting about a 20% target share, and he's been extremely consistent. And so it is tough to pass up on that target share. It's just, can we get that production elsewhere? I'm hoping that we can, because we have some cheaper plays that I want to get to a little bit more, like Brandon Ayuk, who his target share is not, I shouldn't say that. His targets have not exactly been there the way that we would want. And he did just feast against the Bucs, which was a good matchup, but he still only had 6 targets in that game. Now, yes, that's a little bit by play design where he's getting a little bit more air yards, as is George Kittle. All in all, maybe a little bit too risky on the slate. I think DK Metcalf actually makes a decent amount of sense in this game. He had 9 targets. this should be a higher scoring game. The Niners do struggle against stopping the pass. This was his best game in a while. Do worry that Geno Smith could be banged up and then you get Locke a little bit. But for now, I'm fine putting DK in there. Then Tyler Lockett, he actually saw a lower snap share in the last game, which definitely worrisome. We saw JSN actually get a lot more work in this game, a higher snap share, 6 targets. He's kind of looking like Tyler Lockett. And to me, he could be a source of value for us on this slate. It's a very cheap price tag for a guy that's probably going to play about 60% of the snaps. Debo Samuel, nothing more than a lineup filler. McLaurin, yeah, I don't like him on this slate against Dallas. Sam Howell will force some targets his way. We'll see if that works out. Romeo Doubs had a good game. He had a good game, got open in the end zone, was able to secure that for a touchdown. You look against Detroit, had a good game against Detroit as well. My issue with the Packers is that you didn't see one receiver kind of command a target share. Jaden Reed had a good game. He's at a cheap price tag. He played more snaps as well, played about 60% of the snaps, had a great game. You know, obviously you can't bank on a 30-yard, 9 DK point play every single game, but still 10 points if you take that away. Christian Watson finally didn't mess up, finally scored a touchdown. Very good stuff there. We'll see if that helps him. He's a guy who seemingly just needs the confidence and maybe could burst on the scene like he had done last year. The targets and the points have been there for him. He just needs to make those plays. And he also kind of messed up a play in the game as well. He could have had 2 touchdowns, to be honest with you. But all in all, I think he's a fine GPP flyer. Like it's a seemingly good matchup. If they don't put an overemphasis on getting him the football, that actually could lead to him getting open down the field, kind of being a forgotten guy, hitting him deep. Something to monitor. Wicks was someone that I mentioned would be a decent pivot off of a chalky Rondell Moore, which was a phenomenal take by my part. Pat on the back there. Unfortunately, Moore got 1 catch. That ended up being a deep ball touchdown, so that pivot didn't really matter too much. But he is questionable with a head injury. We actually saw Malik Heath get it some snaps, who was a preseason stud for a lot of us. But all in all, I think that actually just elevates Jaden Reed, and he could be someone that's locked into that 60% snaps. And if that happens, we have some pretty good value there as well. Continuing down the list, I don't think we can bank on Jahan Dotson. I do really like Brendan Cooks. Guys, he's looking better. He's nothing more than like a GPP play, but gets a phenomenal matchup. Had about a 12% target share, which is fine, but 75% of the snap. And so, yeah, if you are probably running Dak out as your quarterback, you're going to want exposure to at least 2 of his pass catchers. Obviously, the pecking order goes CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, then either Cooks or Pollard, but a fine GPP play. Michael Gallup, I'm fine passing up on. Could he have a good game? Sure, but all in all, I don't love it. Jameson Williams did add a touchdown in that game, but it's like if you watch it, he's like backpedaling. You could tell in his head, he's like, don't mess this up, don't mess this up, don't mess this up. And he didn't. He caught it, but it was just a funny play to me. But all in all, guys, I feel like we have a lot of similar options here. Like Reed or JSN is probably going to end up in my build. I don't feel the need to pay up for ASB or Ayuk, especially given our average salary remaining. For now, I am just going to put in probably the Commanders defense, hoping that they don't go too negative. And then we have a little bit better average salary remaining. Let's get into the tight end position here. So tight end wise, Laporta is commanding a 20% target share. That is difficult to pass up on. George Kittle has been feasting lately. 9 targets in the last game. That was awesome. This is another good matchup going against Seattle. Could that continue? Yes. Does it feel a little bit risky this week? Yes. Like, to me, the most logical play would be Jake Ferguson at his price tag, who, again, he's the second option in the passing game right now. 5 targets in that game. And he's been extremely consistent as a fantasy producer. That being said, we saw Luke Musgrave have another decent game, 6 targets, 6.8 points, seemingly a good value price tag. Now, I do want to call out, I don't know if this is because of a bad drop by Will Dissly early on in the game, but Noah Fant played in 64% of the snaps. That was his most snaps all season. And if that happens again, you almost imagine he's going to get, 5 or so targets. So you could punt to him as a play, but for now, I'm thinking I'm going to be rolling with Luke Musgrave. And then we have 4.1 left over. That's what I don't love. But again, that's the slate that we have, especially if we are paying up for CMC. So in this kind of lineup path, I wish I could go Jaden Reed and also JSN. For now, I'll go JSN. 4K left over. You could probably get away with just playing Jake Ferguson there as well. And so obviously this is the issue that we're going to fall into. This is where I might kind of risk it, go with Jordan Love as the quarterback. And I don't want to hear, guys, this has worked out for me every single week that I've recommended Jordan Love as a play. And I was right about it against the Raiders when I said he could struggle. But that opens up a lot more. You could get to Dobbs in a stack. You could get to AJ Dillon if you wanted to. You go more of a fair and balanced approach as well. Or maybe you are playing Reed. You could go Dobbs as well, like a little stack. Like, it's not terrible. Probably a little too much Packer exposure. Would only want 2 of their pass catchers. But like, to me, it's kind of a nice slate. Like, we can mix and match where we see fit in terms of like where we want to be going here. Defensively, guys, I do think I'm probably going to punt. Obviously, Dallas is going to be in a good spot going against Washington. Again, Sam Howell is forcing some plays, so they should get a couple of INTs, especially if they're going to get pressure. And I think that they will. 3.8 is a little bit too much for me to pay up for. I don't want to be on the Packers defense at that price tag. I don't want to be on the Lions defense at that price tag. To me, I think we're just trying to punt, trying to get lucky. Hopefully Washington, puts up points. I mean, it was the Giants, 9. We haven't seen them go negative in any single game except for one game against the Chicago Bears where they got really pronounced. We all saw that. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great Thanksgiving. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you guys all being here. Let's have a good Thanksgiving. Let's have a good Thanksgiving Day slate. Thanks for watching. As always, let's keep cashing.